Hey guys, Elitist Krabs here, your favorite YouTuber, and there's one thing I love more than playing video games, it's talking about them, and how much I hate them. I don't hate most video games, but something I do hate, and you will all find this out very soon, is remakes. For the past, 6 years since its release, I've had a video brewing in my head about why I don't like the Resident Evil 2 remake, and why every day when I see people praising it, it pisses me off, and it grinds my gears. That's gonna come out one of these days. But for now, I want to talk about the Persona 4 remake. If you're familiar with my channel at all, which I doubt you are, you'll know that I love the Megami Tensei series. I use background music from games across the entire franchise in all of my videos, and I have a few videos just about the games. I do not care that much for Persona. I've only beaten Persona 2 and Persona 5. And I've played quite a bit of Persona 3, it's a little bit boring, and like an hour of Persona 4 and 1. So I don't care that Persona 4 is getting remade because it's one of my favorite games ever. It's not like a Resident Evil 4 remake situation, which I do like, don't worry. But it's more of a why situation. Who is asking for this? The game is still modern, and I know there's a select group of people out there who have only played Persona 5 Royale and Persona 3 Reload, and they refuse to play any other games because they're old. To those people, we tell them to fuck off and die because they're casuals. They don't count. They shouldn't count in the discussion of Atlas games. Call me an elitist. I think they're fake fans. But anyways, no one wanted a Persona 4 remake, and anyone who did, like I said, is just one of those stupid Persona 3 Reload, Persona 5 Royale fans who can't play anything older than a 2020 video game. In fact, Atlas released a poll for every single game they've ever made, and let fans vote on which ones they wanted to see the most. And at number 1 place, it was Persona 3. But it was also tied with Persona 2. And so instead of re-releasing or remaking, which God I hope they don't do, but just a simple Persona 2 remaster would have been nice, no. They remake Persona 4. Like I said, I don't care because, it's my favorite game ever. I don't want to see them ruin it. It's more of a why. Who wants this? Why are we getting so many remakes? I'm going to say this right here, right now. I cannot think of a single video game, or even movie, or a remake of anything that surpasses the original. I cannot think of a single one. I know what you're all going to say. What about Resident Evil 1? I love the Resident Evil remake. I will say it's the best remake, the best video game remake ever, and I doubt it'll ever be topped. But you can call me a stupid purist, I still prefer the OG, specifically the DS version. Call me a stupid purist all you want, you're probably right. But that's what I prefer. Resident Evil 2 and 3? Resident Evil 2, as I said in the beginning of the video, I think it's a decent enough game, a terrible remake. I genuinely believe that anybody who thinks that Resident Evil 2 is a good remake either has not played the original games, or needs to be locked up. And I've never played either version of Resident Evil 3 because it's too scary. But I'll go ahead and say it, RE3 Remake sucks. Yeah, I said it. And Resident Evil 4, every time I play the game, I think, wow, this is really fun. This might even be better than the original, because the original Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game ever. And then I get to the boat chapter, and I'm like, oh wait, this sucks, and I play the original game instead. Let's see, what else? The Persona remakes, I haven't played any of them, but I'm still gonna say it, they're soulless AAA trash that should not have been made. And don't even get me started on the FF7 remake. I'm not one of those huge FF7 fans who loves everything about the game and has played all the, Advent Children, that's a movie, I've watched the movie. But I haven't played, Crisis Core, Before Crisis, Ever Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah, I haven't played the entire compilation. I'm not a huge fan who plays games just because they have Cloud in it or whatever. No. I don't care about the story changes. It's whatever. But from a gameplay perspective, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the most boring game I have ever played in my life. I'm like 60 hours in. I'm at the part where we're about to invade the Shinra HQ. I just cannot bring myself to play it. It is the most boring game of all time. I really don't know how Squaresoft did it, but they somehow made an action RPG released in like 2018 more boring than a turn-based RPG from 1997. But that's the power of Square Enix, I guess. A lot of those HD 2D remakes, they just look boring. They all look the same. I don't care. There's no reason to be constantly remaking games. The MGS3 remake, from what I've gathered from what Konami themselves has said, the trailers, everything, the promotional material, it is just the original Metal Gear Solid 3 game, but with improved controls and better graphics. What's the point? The Master Collection already exists. You can get it for $20 on Steam right now. What's the point of remaking it? Granted, I would rather have Konami remake the games instead of making a brand new Metal Gear, because we all saw what happened when they made a Metal Gear game after Kojima left. It was not very good. I'm not going to support it either way. I cannot support Konami and their Metal Gear decisions. I just can't. But what's the point? And I've seen the intro. Cynthia Harrell, her singing, it's fine. You know, you can tell she's 20 years older, but it's still good. She's a great singer. But the visuals, they spoil every major boss of the game. They literally spoil the fucking fight with the boss. They show her taking off her jacket and her huge scar. You can't do that! The Silent Hill 2 remake, don't even get me started. I saw the performance on Mary's letter, a comparison of the original game versus the remake's voice acting, and the voice acting was, whatever. They cut a line from Mary's letter. The whole game had been leading up to that point, and you remove a line from it. There's lines from the scene where Maria is going, "Anyway! What do you mean, anyway?" to James. They removed a line from that. I got so angry when I saw that I decided to download and stream the entire original game so my friends and fans can experience that instead of the remake. Because I cannot, my heart breaks when I imagine someone out there playing the remake of Resident Evil 2 or the remake of Silent Hill 2 instead of the masterpiece okay, well, I'm not going to say the original Resident Evil 2 is a masterpiece, but the masterpiece that the original Silent Hill 2 was. My heart breaks when I think about that. But the sad reality is, a lot of these people who want these games to be remade, they simply cannot bring themselves to play anything that was not released before the 2010s. And it really is so sad, the amount of great games you're limiting yourself to by only playing the best and the most modern versions of them. I've been called a stupid Kroby cat shill and a dumb purist and an elitist for calling all these modern remakes soulless, but I don't care. Objectively, more soul was put into the original game, and more passion was put into the original game, building it from the ground up, writing everything, than simply making it look prettier and control better. So I don't know what the point of this was, but seeing the Persona 4 remake, it just got me angry thinking about how many great games out there are going to get at best, a mid-tier remake. And for the rest of time, that's the only version people will play. I've seen it happen with Resident Evil. I know a lot of Resident Evil fans. They're great people, but they have never played, nor will they ever play, the original Resident Evil games. In fact, some of them won't even play the remake of Resident Evil 1 because it's not modern enough. They can't handle tank controls and fixed cameras. If you're one of those people who can't handle tank controls and fixed camera Resident Evil games, you need to die. I'm sorry, but it's just a fact of life. How can you call yourself a Resident Evil fan without being able to play the original games in the series? It's not like they're unplayable or anything. If you can't handle them, you're a fake gamer. I'll say it. You're a fake gamer if you can't handle the original, non-remade versions of games. I get it. If you're someone who really loves the game, say if you're someone who Persona 4 is your favorite game ever, and you're really happy to see them remaking it, that's great. But if you're someone who's like, oh, well, the original game looks kind of bad compared to, like, 3 and 5, I'll just wait for the remake to come out, you need to be taken out back. I'm sorry. There's no hope for somebody like you. And also everything surrounding remakes makes me angry, too. One time, I got a copy of Persona 3 Fez, and I posted a picture of it to a Discord server I was in. Speaking of which, like, subscribe, and join my Discord server down below. If you want to, say, send me death threats for my bad opinions, go ahead. But I posted that I got a copy of Persona 3. And someone replied, do you have some hipster-induced street cred, or whatever? Why not just play the remake? I was talking to someone about the Persona 4 remake, and they're saying, they're talking about the Resident Evil remakes. And they said, with the remake of Resident Evil 4, I have no reason to ever go back to the original. What?! What do you mean?! People act like just because something got remade, the original version has no merit, no reason to exist whatsoever. Just throw it out, forget about it. You do not respect the games you're playing if that's something you genuinely believe. Warning, we're about to go into very pretentious, elitist, whatever you want to call it, territory. This isn't even about remakes, really. But But if you're a fan of a franchise and you refuse to play their older games just because they're old and they don't look very fun, you are not a real fan of the franchise. I'll say it. I talked about it earlier with those Persona 3 Reload, Persona 5 Royale fans who wanted Persona 4 to get a remake because it looked too old for them to play. They're not real Persona fans. Not because they've only played the modern games, but because they only play the fancy, souped-up, remade, re-released versions and not the original versions. Persona 3, even if I think it's boring, is still a perfectly playable game nowadays. Same with Persona 4. And you know what's just as perfectly playable? Persona 1 and 2. But I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that just say, they don't look very fun. You are not a real fan! Same with Resident Evil fans. If you've only played the remade versions of the games, and you refuse to play the original versions of Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, or even 4, you are not a real Resident Evil fan. Take down your Leon Kennedy posters, burn your body pillows, you're not a real fan. If you're a so-called fan of a franchise and completely willing to disregard the older games in the franchise just because they're not as souped up, or as modern, or as pretty as the stuff that came out recently, can you really even call yourself a fan? Yeah, you enjoy the games you played, but you enjoy the series as a whole? No. Then you're not a fan. Don't say you're a Resident Evil fan, say you're a fan of Resident Evil 2 and 4. The remakes, specifically, because you're a filthy casual. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, the Persona 4 remake kind of got me angry. Not as a Persona fan, but as someone who hates all the constant remakes and the culture surrounding them. I saw someone who adored the Final Fantasy VII remake, and they refused to play the original game because it looked old and boring, even though they're classified as two separate things pretty much. FF7 Remake is not a direct remake of the original FF7. Not at all. They're completely different games, story-wise at least, and gameplay. Everything about them is different. They share the same characters, and I guess the same plot. I don't know. I never beat the original game. Fuck FF7 Remake. But still, my point stands. Just seeing people completely disregard the original games because a remade, prettier version is out pisses me off to no end. And it never will not. So, yeah, thanks for hearing me ramble. If you don't like what I said, dislike it. If you want to send me death threats, join my server. Tell me about it directly, and like and subscribe. And more importantly, don't buy any more remakes. Do it for me, please.